I also saw through registration that we had a few non-Colorado participants register, and that's completely fine. If you're joining from outside of Colorado, feel free to announce yourself as well. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. We did actually have quite a few register for our time this morning, so I anticipate more will be joining us. We are in part 3 of 3 for the Clinician and Provider Satisfaction Survey for DSMES services. This is Meredith too with Television. Got a little bit different format for WebEx here this morning, so bear with me as I navigate the new view. Emily, this is, well, obviously this is Meredith. I am not seeing where to advance the slides. Can you tell me where that is now?
Yes, it's on that same toolbar where the annotation is. It's just 2 squares down. You'll see 0, 1, colon, and the 2 little arrow buttons there.
Thank you. All right, so this is actually already Inka's last month of maternity leave. She's due back at the end of August, so it will be wonderful to have her back. It's always keeps me on my toes to navigate all of this on my own, so I definitely appreciate her expertise and assistance through this. Roseanne and Dana, you know who I am. We've had lots of opportunities to interact, but is there anyone else on the line that would announce themselves so I know how much information to present throughout the call today, if we have any new people joining us?
This is Jenny Bardo.
Well, good morning, Jenny.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the line? All right. Then I am not going to spend a whole lot of time with introductions. We've been doing that for quite a while. You also know our housekeeping rules. The one slight change here is that we are now making meeting recordings available upon request versus that being something we do standard, just because we've looked at the analytics of the access of those recordings, and it doesn't seem like that's something that is utilized a fair amount. So if for some reason you want the recording, let Inka or I know, and we're happy to forward that on to you. I know the 3 of you are located here with us in Denver. Is there anyone on the line anywhere else on the map here in Colorado or in the U.S. for that matter? All right. So really, 2 primary objectives for today is to just talk about the distribution and dissemination of the provider satisfaction survey, and then secondly, to hear from those of you that have been joining if you want to continue on the trajectory of working through the PDSA cycle for the clinical quality improvement process, specifically for the survey that we've developed, or if you'd like to move on to another topic. You all have been joining us throughout the past, so you're very familiar with what we've been up to. Just at the end of this arrow on the right-hand side, we are currently in our 3-month series for the provider satisfaction survey, and just trying to keep our agenda flexible to be responsive to the needs of what you all are wanting and finding valuable at the current time. So, of course, our primary goal with these calls and support is to be a resource to you all in light of trying to increase the utilization of your programs and services in Colorado. So that brings us here to this month where we'll talk about dissemination of the survey. And based on the responses we hear from today, we'll either launch into that Study Act portion of the PDSA cycle that you see there on the right, based on results collected from the surveys, or we will move on to a different topic. Good morning, this is Meredith. Do we have someone join? All right.
Yes, so it's Yvonne from Trinidad. Sorry, I had to join on the phone. It's Yvonne from Trinidad.
No problem. Good morning, Yvonne. Welcome.
Morning.
So we're just getting to our polling question. Did I understand that you're on the phone only, Yvonne, and not via WebEx?
No, I'm on WebEx, but I had to do audio by the phone.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. So our polling question for this month, in June through August, we've been through the plan and do portion of the PDSA improvement cycle that can be used within the CQI project by using a provider satisfaction survey. So for you, in the next few months, would you like to continue with the Study Act portion of the PDSA cycle, move on to another topic, either works for me or undecided? If you would indicate your preference on that, that'll be helpful. And are all of you on the WebEx session?
Yes.
Okay, good.
This is Roseanne. Where is the poll?
Yeah, is there going to be a voting button?
Oh, you know what?
There it is.
Yep,
There it is.
there we go.
Okay.
And can I ask one more question before I vote?
Sure.
When you say if we were to continue with the Study Act portion, does that mean we have to actually send out the provider satisfaction survey within that time frame?
Great question. So you definitely wouldn't have results back by then, but we would be talking through what that would look like when you do get your results back. I wouldn't anticipate you would have them by next month for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
And Emily, this is Meredith. I say that the time limit for the poll is set at 5 minutes. We definitely won't need that much time. If you're able to change that time limit, that would be great. Okay. Thank you. All right, so half of you continue on with the Study Act and half saying either works. Thank you for submitting your vote on that. Appreciate that. Just a quick reminder, we've gone through this in pretty good detail the last 2 months, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but Inka and I are always very focused on making sure that we're utilizing the standards for the DSMES program as we work through any of our assistance. So this one directly relates to the quality improvement standard 10. Just stating that the quality coordinator of the program will measure the impact and effectiveness and identify areas for improvement by conducting a systematic evaluation of process and outcome data. So be sure, if you are using this survey, a few other resources that complement what we're talking here on the call is in the April DSMES conference that we had at the state where Marianne presented in your flash drive files. Just remember that there is a PowerPoint presentation on CQI. That was our last session of the day, and you can definitely refer to that. Also the DSMES business plan guide that we had previously been working through. So those are some other resources that you can definitely utilize as well. And as far as where the satisfaction surveys, you can see here that that is looking at long-term outcomes specifically in regards to satisfaction, and it is a structure outcome. So that's where it fits in the context of a CQI project. All right, so if we think about actually getting this survey out to providers, and in past calls we had talked, or you all had shared that you would be interested in giving it to both providers that are referring and finding out information from those that aren't referring to the program. That in mind, what do you see could be anticipated barriers with sending this survey out? And it's just some brainstorming from the group, potential solutions to overcome. Also, if you've already sent out a survey and you've surveyed in the past, maybe share with the group how that's looked for you. Anyone have any big anticipated barriers just right out of the gate?
Of course, not getting it back.
Yeah, that's, I think, so this is Janet from Denver Health. We sent out a provider satisfaction survey, and we sent it out to all the providers at the hospital, so a really large subset of people. But we only, I mean, we got like 30 responses back, which is not too bad when you're thinking of data, but when you're thinking about like the amount that we could have gotten back if we had better participation, that's a barrier, just trying to figure out what's the best way to send it out so that way providers actually respond.
This is Roseanne.
Thank you. And I'm
go ahead.
sorry, Roseanne, I'm just working on typing the information on the screen real quick.
Are you ready?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem that I see is identifying the physicians that are affiliated with our hospital that are not referring. So I know that there must be some, I think we would focus our things on OBGYNs and primary care docs, and, well, probably our endos that are here on campus as well. But I'm just trying to figure out for the primary care docs that are associated or affiliated with this hospital, if they're not on my campus, I don't know who they are. So.
Thanks, Roseanne. So we'll keep working through barriers and then do some brainstorming around potential solutions.
And I agree with
come to mind.
I agree with the other person. The best way to send it out, if we want to do, I mean, I agree with that. What is the best way to get it out there? That would be a Survey Monkey or paper. What would be the best way?
Thanks, Yvonne.
This is Jenny. I think also kind of similar as far as a survey, what would be the right number of questions, before people kind of disengage and don't want to answer the questions? Is it 4 or 5 questions, and how do we best get the information that we need with a minimal number of questions?
Yeah, so Jenny, in the past 2 sessions, we've actually been working through the design of the survey, so I'm going to switch over so you all can see where that landed. So using the input of this group and also a foundational survey that Marianne Fedorowicz had forwarded to us, we talked through the questions that the group would want to ask, and keeping the survey short was absolutely front and center for priority. So once this is in final format, I will send it on to anyone who specifically requests it. The only thing that is left to do before final is just getting the authorship, the attribution and citation of Marianne on here. So I would say what you're looking at on the screen is pretty much final format. That being said, it will be a document that you can edit. So if there are specific changes to it, you can certainly make those. We just wanted to get it pretty much finished so you wouldn't have a lot to do. So can you all see the survey on your screen?
Yes.
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 Okay. So that first section, there are 4 questions around the effect on the overall quality of care. And then the next section, 2 questions on the effect of DSMES on the physician's relationship with their patients. And then just 1 question around the documentation and communication that they receive. Then the last statement is for physicians not referring to the DSME program, getting at what do they need to help facilitate referrals and what are potential barriers. And then just a note if there's any other comments they'd like to add to use the back of that page. So that's where it stands right now, if that's helpful.
That's very helpful.
Thank you. It's all of you that helped get that finalized. So, all right. So going back to any other anticipated barriers with getting the survey out. All right. So let's move over to the other side here. Any thoughts on potential solutions? So this first one about just not getting it back or not getting it back from as many as you would like to. Any experience with that from any of you? What about if you think of surveys that you yourself have received, and other than it being brief, what are some things that make you open to filling out and returning a survey?
This is Jana. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Roseanne. So I sent out our survey in the form of a Survey Monkey to the hospital, to the physicians at the hospital, and we did get such a low response rate, and I think part of that is because email, they just get so much in the way of emails every day. So one idea that we had was to actually go to a team meeting and do a brief presentation on the DSME, and then hand out the surveys in paper form, and just have them fill them out really quickly right there because they're kind of a captive audience and they have to return it. That's one way that we thought of, and we're lucky because we kind of have access to those team meetings, but could be another idea for other folks if you can, get into referring practices.
That's a great idea, Gina.
This is
Roseanne, what were you going to ask?
I know for me personally, if I get a survey in the mail, I'm much less likely to fill it out than if I get it via email. I don't know, but I agree that a lot of docs get so much email that they probably don't get to all of it. So I'm not sure what the right answer is.
Do you see Survey Monkey versus paper being an either or? Do you see only sending the survey out one way or sending it out both ways?
That's a possibility.
So in regards,
it could even be if you send out, try sending the survey out via Survey Monkey, kind of see what your response rate is, and if there's, certain clinic sites that maybe didn't respond, to go to those team meetings, to get their feedback.
Thank you, Jenny. All right, so how about the topic of being able to identify physicians affiliated with the hospital but not referring? Any input on that? Potential solutions?
Well, this is Roseanne. The only thing I've thought of, and I don't know if it would work or not, would be to get with our physician relations person and ask them if they happen to have a list of primary care practices that are affiliated with the hospital. That's the one thought that I had, but I don't know if that would work or not.
I can say, Roseanne, in working with different providers throughout the state, that I would anticipate that that list is definitely available. It's just a matter of getting to the right person. The billing department might be another avenue to try.
Okay.
Any other thoughts with this one? All right, so we talked a little bit about how to send it out, SurveyMonkey or paper, and just an update on the SurveyMonkey. That's something that we had talked about in one of the previous calls, and if that's that format that you all would be interested in. There are some challenges in us being Intelligent and CDPHE creating an electronic format, but you all being the users of the survey. So I'm curious, of the four of you on the line, who, Dana, it sounds like you do have a SurveyMonkey account that you would have access to.
Yeah, I do. And mine is just the free one that you can sign up for. It doesn't have like a ton of bells and whistles, but you can build these like basic surveys.
Okay. And how about Jenny? Have you ever done, or do you have access to SurveyMonkey?
Yes, it's very similar to Dana. It would be kind of the basic level SurveyMonkey.
Okay. Roseanne, how about you?
Same thing. I just used the free one, and the surveys that I've put out have been maybe one or two questions. So I'm not sure I would know how to put in this kind of question. So maybe some instructions for those of us that are not real familiar with SurveyMonkey as to how we would go about putting together a survey like we've got on paper.
Okay. And then Yvonne, do you have access to SurveyMonkey?
Our facility does, and I would be able to have someone do that. In the past, when I've gotten the SurveyMonkey, it's like they repeat it so many times in my email that I end up just doing it, you know.
Persistence is key.
I think, that's a good, just keep repeating it.
Thanks, Yvonne. All right. And of those of you on the line, I know this was our polling question last month, but for those of you that weren't on, or really all four of you, can you remind me, is the provider satisfaction survey something that you plan on using in the near future? Roseanne?
Yes, I would like to use it. I have to confirm with my team that they're in agreement with me.
Okay. How about you, Dana? Sounds like you've done one.
Yeah, we did one at the end of last year, and I think that we're still working on securing funding for this next year. So I think once we can get a firm answer on whether or not the program is going to be continuing in a broad capacity, then we would probably do one.
Okay, thank you. And Jenny, how about you? Do you see using this?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
And Yvonne?
Yes, our program, well, we are redoing it, and it's pretty new, so definitely we haven't sent one out, and I would definitely want a copy of the complete one when you have it completed.
Okay, that's helpful. I know we did have some polling question responses saying that they had recently done CQI, so wouldn't be using it soon, so it's helpful to take a temperature on that. All right, any last thoughts on this slide, just in any area on this slide before we move to the next? All right, hearing none. So we talked about barriers and potential solutions, and you all did mention a few things that have been helpful in the past. Is there anything that we didn't talk about on the last slide? Just any success that you've had in the past with getting survey results back, whether it's for a DSMES program or any other survey that you may have administered?
Roseanne, I'm not sure if this is kosher or not, but I'm more likely to fill out a survey if there's a drawing for an Amazon card or something like that associated with it. So I don't know if that's something that would motivate physicians, but that's something that motivates me.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? So if we think along the lines of incentives, like Roseanne was just talking about, if we know that the financial status of programs is also oftentimes challenged, are there any non-monetary incentives that physicians would likely pay attention to that you can think of?
Sorry, this is Roseanne again. I just thought of one, and that is to offer to have a diabetes educator in their office for a couple of hours. Just to say, you know, if you fill this out, then we will try to arrange to have somebody in your office. And I think we've talked about that before as a way of maybe getting access. That's kind of a marketing strategy.
Yeah. I like it, Roseanne. Thank you.
And maybe offering, like, Roseanne to come and do, like, their foot exams for them, their comprehensive foot exams or something like that.
Thanks, Yvonne. So I will circle back with Marianne Hodorowitz and get her feedback on those ideas and see if she's heard of anything else from throughout the country. And then, Roseanne, you made this statement. I'm not sure if it's kosher or not. Just can run that by her to see what kind of considerations would need to be made if you're offering a service like a foot exam or education in their clinic or something like that. So I will I'll check in about that and report back to the group. All right. This has been very helpful and brings us to the end of our time already. So it sounds like all four of you would be interested in receiving the final survey, so I will definitely send that to you once we have it in final format, which really should be any time once I get that authorship information on there. We talked about sending on number 2, sending it via paper and or electronically. So I'll continue to think through that, knowing that all of you have the basic subscription to SurveyMonkey and how we can move forward with that. And then just a reminder on number 3 that it will be editable, so you can make changes if need be according to your own program and leadership desires. And then number 4 is just to be able to distribute, of course, collecting and measuring results and then making adaptations is the most important thing if you're using this as part of a CQI project, and documenting everything throughout this entire process so that you have proof for your efforts with your program. So using the feedback then from this morning and also our noon call, like I said, we'll be determining next steps as far as where we go with it for next month. Our September calls are on the 19th, same time offerings. And then number 3, for those of you that didn't hear the announcement last month, Telegen is working on quarterly Colorado DSMT and MMT utilization trending graphs dating back to October 2015, and also looking at percentage of denied claims so that we can start, speaking of using data and measurement, start looking at how those trends are going in Colorado, and if we need to spend some time around getting denied claims paid, essentially, and the challenges around that. So with that, just some ongoing resources. We did find out that Marianne Hedorowitz Technical Assistance is being extended through the end of our Telegen contract with CMS, which is July of 2019. So as always, if you would like a call with her one-on-one with your program and your specific needs, let me know. Happy to set that up. The survey is going to be a bit different this time. We actually plugged in the questions and responses from the survey that we created. So you will see what that looks like electronically, and just give you an opportunity to think through if there are any edits or changes that you would want to make if you're using it yourself. So that's what's going to pop up with your survey. Other than that, feel free to give me a call anytime. Really appreciate all 4 of you being on the line with us this morning, and your feedback is always tremendously helpful. So we'll hope to talk to you all next month, or potentially even before then. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.